Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode. Boy, has a lot happened in the past week. First of all, I am really glad at the reception that I got last week. This was just sort of a complete, stab in the dark. I don't know who will watch it, but I got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of people enjoying it. It's quite interesting because the recording looked fine on my computer, but for some reason when it was uploaded, it just looks really dark. Also, I just realized I need smooth lighting. I was just playing around with some settings. So hopefully this looks a bit better. I've made it default brightness rather than moody, so I'm hoping this looks a bit better in the recording. But yes, hello. Welcome back to my tunnel that goes down. I don't know, I'm thinking of just sort of continuing. I kind of want to get to a point where I, get some decent iron. Still got the amethyst geode there. Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback and some good comments. Thank you very much for the comments. Oh, I just realized I want to have the music continuous. Constant. Thank you very much. Yeah, so let's... Oh yeah, there's iron up there. Let's start with just sort of something that's on my mind and something that's happened. I was thinking about sort of putting it in the title of the video, because I guess it would be a theme I want to talk about. But yeah, so who's watching that has experienced their parents being... And I'm not just slightly sick, not just a cold, I'm talking life-threatening sick. So yeah, that's kind of what got my coal. It's kind of what I was insinuating at the start. The past week has been a bit rough for me, unfortunately. Well, shit, more rough for my father, of whom I was actually talking about last week. Unfortunately, he had something else happen, and he had to have some antibiotics, which was, that's fine. But the thing is that he's never had antibiotics before, and was completely unaware of what was going to happen. Turns out he is allergic to antibiotics. So on the same day that he started having them, sort of at the end of the day, he developed a really bad reaction. And there's a part of me that was kind of hesitant to bring this up, because it's this is just the start of the series sort of thing, and I'm sure there are going to be new people who jump in, and here I am talking about sick parents. But I think it is actually very important to talk about, because I think every single person is going to eventually experience their parents being quite sick. So this was a real allergic reaction. He had a full body reaction. I'm not going to go into details, of course. But it was bad. It's quite... Oh, no way! Iron. It's quite scary, to be honest. Sort of seeing your parents go through a sort of a reaction that just puts them in a whole different light. I've never really seen my dad overly sick. He's always been quite health conscious, that's the thing. He didn't know. He didn't know that he was allergic, and it's something that I was just so kind of shocked. I was like, wow, okay. Because I've had antibiotics before. It was a different type of antibiotics. And, sometimes it can do weird things because it kind of messes up your gut biome. But, yeah, not to this reaction. This was, pretty scary. So, I'm sure there'd be some people watching who can sympathize, and I appreciate the empathy. Because it's scary. It's weird. It's oh my god. You kind of remind yourself that your parents aren't sort of these invincible beings, and sometimes you know, there's going to come to a point where as you get older, it's just going to get harder and harder, and that's just the reality of it, you know? But anyway, I didn't want to talk about this too much, and it's only 5 minutes. But I just wanted to, like, put it out there just so you understand sort of my level of energy. It's been rough. I've sort of had to spend a lot of time, you know, looking after him and sort of seeing him at the hospital. But yeah, I was really looking forward to this because I really wanted to. What's that, gold? Yeah, I really wanted to. So I actually really mostly just wanted to go over the comments that I had, because I talked about quite a lot in the past episode. Also, because I just realized that some of my sentences are kind of all over the place a little bit. I'm okay, but yeah, you'll have to excuse if my thoughts are kind of all over the place a little bit. Is that another geode? Oh my god, no way. Yeah, so I got some comments. So I'm thinking about just sort of reading over them, and then so I got my phone here. I don't want to, like, you know, talk about it for too long, but there were just some things that I found quite interesting. The first one that I found quite amusing, which is at 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, I was attacking a tree with my bare hands with an axe in my in my hotbar. Oh my god, what am I doing? And the comment was cosmetic axe, and I found that so funny because I was completely unaware that I was bashing a tree with my fist and I had an axe, like. Oh, it's so funny. I think I was like, yeah, I was nervous, sort of recording, and I just wasn't thinking straight. In many ways, I still am. But I do have to say that I was really looking forward to this, and I think that's a good feeling. And even though, you know, all that's happened this week, wow, is this an iron vein? That's a lot of iron. You know, it's in the evening for me now. That is a lot of iron. Wow. I think that is a vein. Oops, I am almost running out. Yeah, so I don't know. A lot of the time when I'm thinking about, like, what to do, what to talk about in this episode, I think there's a part of me, because you get a lot of, like, you know, people have their plans, and they... Oh, damn, do I not have... Wait, did I just... I did grab that, nice. Yeah, like, I'm thinking of Etho. I grew up with Etho, I grew up with Mumbo, and it's interesting, because, like, I guess they would have plans and ideas, and, you know, what to do in the episode, and I guess maybe you do sort of get to a point where you kind of have to keep it structured because, I don't know, maybe you can't really just mumble and fumble all you know, all the time, which, I don't know, that's kind of how I naturally work. I'm a very sort of, I just wing everything, which is fun. Oh, that's not gonna work, is it? Okay, I'll just do this. Let's do that. Yeah, lots of sticks. So, yeah, I think it'd be fun to just sort of continue, just sort of getting resources. I kind of like the slow sort of, you know, purposeless, if that's a way to word it, sort of path. I think it's I don't know. Again, like, there are many moments when I'm watching Etho and Mumbo or whoever, mostly Etho really, And the amount of times I'm just thinking to myself, like, it'd be so cool if you basically what I'm doing now. Like, I would love if Etho did just an hour, just unedited, just talking about his day. And I don't know. I know that some people can sort of categorize that as like parasocial. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just so used to VTubers where it is kind of like that, where they just talk about literally anything. Something that happened that day. Like if I was a VTuber, and actually I was thinking about sort of getting an avatar at some point. Maybe. But nothing like the ones that you may see. I'm talking about like literally a dodecahedron wireframe that's just tracking my face. So when I turn, you can see, the dodecahedron sort of move around. I was thinking that could be kind of fun. But yeah, like a lot of the time, it's nice to just sort of remind us, especially when it's live, right? When you just go, oh, this person is literally sitting, in their office right now, and they're just talking about their day, and they're just playing a game, or if it be Minecraft or anything really. And I really like that, and that's kind of why I immediately just started this episode with, so my dad's sick. Because I don't know, maybe it gives you a sort of perspective of how I process these things, and how I, if you're like sitting next to me sort of thing, right? I've got nothing else to talk about. I'd be like, well, this is happening. And yeah, and I think it's fun, because I think it normalizes the fact that we all sort of go through shit. I mean, we sort of have to just deal with things sometimes, and I'm sure there will be someone who will comment, I've dealt with similar things, or however, and that will more than likely make me feel better, rather than bottling things up, So, and also, here's the thing to talk about. I wonder what you guys think. When it comes to, like, how do I word this? Topics, things to talk about. I'm a firm believer there... What? Glow ink set? I guess they just spawned and then died. What the heck? That's cool. Yeah, I'm a firm believer of just normalizing basically everything. Like, obviously not bad stuff, obviously not things that harm people. I'm talking like talking about things, right? I'm not talking about, I don't know, things you do or topics or actions or whatever. I'm talking about things to talk about. I think it's very valuable to almost just trivialize existence. Trivialize absolutely everything, where you just become completely unreactive. Someone could say something pretty insane or pretty intense. Maybe insane's a bad word to use there. Just like a pretty intense thing, and you just go, yeah, okay. Like, because I think there's this level of realism where you just go, like, if it's within the bounds of physics and reality, yeah, it will happen. So why not just talk about it, It's because I find it fascinating that there are certain things that humans... That zombie's really annoying. There are certain things that humans sort of innately react to, and there are other, like... I'm trying to think of a word for this. For some reason my brain was thinking of like pseudo-reaction, where you're reacting, but it's actually not a true reaction, because there's nothing that you are, like, trying to... you're not trying to preserve yourself, you're not trying to save yourself, there's nothing wrong happening, you're not getting hurt, you're not trying... there's nothing happening. So I'm talking about things like, awkwardness or cringeness or these sort of reactions that happen. Like when I was younger, I remember sort of being so curious about awkwardness. Because why are certain things awkward? Now you could say, well, oh, you could say, like, there are certain things that people just don't want to talk about. But if it's not trauma-inducing, right? Because obviously PTSD is real, okay? So there's certain limits to what I'm saying. But when it comes to, you know, if it's not, as I said, yeah. So if it's not like traumatic, then theoretically anything should be open to be, you know, discussed about. Especially if the person feels alone with it. Like, okay, here's an example. Sort of like a medical thing. Like if you had something wrong or something that wasn't, I guess, healthy or clean or whatever. Like you have eczema in a certain awkward place, or you have like a bad case of dandruff or something like interesting sort of situations that any person can find themselves in. Why not just trivialize it? Be like, okay, well, you know, there are certain things you can do to fix it, certain things you can't do. You know, if it's causing you distress, you know, let's talk about it. Because I think the other thing is we also forget that we individually also experience things and we go through them, and that normalizing and saying things like, oh yeah, no, I experienced that, you know. For example, in high school, the dandruff example, I struggled with that in high school. There was a few cases where I was just sort of using the wrong shampoo and sort of figuring out how sensitive my scalp was, and like just, oh god, that zombie's so annoying. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, I see. Hello, there is a cave here. Oh my god, that's a creeper. Okay. Do I just let it blow up? Is that gonna really hurt me? Go ahead, do it. Do it. Ah. Okay, not you. Okay, not you. Okay. That's fine. That's cool. I could have jumped down. I was hoping it was far away enough, but it wasn't. Anyway. Well, I just find it, that is pretty. Wow, this is cool. I just think there are so many moments when you're with friends or even strangers, and there are people who just wish that they could just talk about something because it's causing them stress or it's frustrating them, and cool. And even just saying something like, "Oh yeah, no, I understand," or like, "Oh yeah, I've had to deal with that." Even if it's a slight exaggeration, you know, you don't have to tell the explicit truth. You know, even if you had a very minor version of it, just saying like, "Oh yeah, no, I've experienced that," it can do wonders sometimes, because the person, they go, oh good, okay, so I'm not, you know, I'm not in this dire situation all by myself. Yeah, I think normalization in general is pretty good. There are certain things that a lot of people struggle with, and that you can really make people feel a lot more at ease just by, yeah, just sort of talking about it and not seeing it as a big deal. Yeah. Anyway, that was just on my mind. I want to open up my comments here for a second. One moment. What's this one? Okay, this one's talking about the Joe Schmo. That's funny. So I've noticed that too. I got Joe Schmo from Moist Critical, Charlie. He sometimes says it, and that's where I got it from, and I just sort of said it. And it's quite funny how, yeah, like these terms sort of go in and out of frequency. So yeah, that was quite funny. Yeah, and then my thoughts on C. So I do know that the previous episode was very sort of, I was talking a bunch about C and languages and stuff like that, and yeah, a lot of people had some interesting opinions. I just realized, how the hell am I gonna get out? I was not keeping track. I've just been going forward. Well, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, so I really find C just to be such an interesting language. I think as I get older, I appreciate languages a bit more, and sort of why each one exists. Okay, I probably should try to head back. Yeah, because it's fascinating why certain languages exist and how they came to be, and it's really cool. Like, it's fascinating that but literally just a group of people just sort of got together and were like, yeah, let's make a thing. Okay, I just at the moment I said that, I was like, wait, no, that's not quite that's not quite it. You know what I mean, though? Like, as in, it's made by a group of people who just sort of wanted to make a tool, right? Now, C in particular obviously evolved a lot. It grew and changed. I mean, there was the B language before it and things like that. Where the hell am I? Oh, this way. Okay. I think this way? Yes, this is where the creeper. Yeah, so it's very cool, and sort of reading up on the history of like Algol and just sort of how we got to this point and the shortcomings, and yeah, because I think one day I will probably attempt to actually make my own like parser, lexer, compiler. Is there anything else? I think so. I think something to do with no, yeah, I think of machine code. So yeah, that's probably the parser, isn't it? It's been a hot minute since I've looked into it. I've been very deep in not low-level stuff, as in I've been trying to get into more like software rendering, just so I can get really familiar with all the nuances. Like, for example, a little while ago, I realized Emerald. That's cool. I realized that you could do some really cool blend modes with bitwise operations, which is fun. I was just trying to figure out like how to do certain things without like decimal points, like floating point values. So yeah, like for example, if you want to divide a color in half, so if you want, let's say it's a white image, and you want all the pixels, because each pixel is 4 bytes, right? That's when they say 32-bit color. There's 32 bits per pixel. And so it's like, okay, so you have 8. Oh god, I'm sorry, I was thinking of 4-bit, because my brain keeps on automatically going to 4-bit color. Sorry, 8 bits per channel, because 8 times 4 is 32. Yes, okay. So, if you have 4 groups of 8, which is all just rows of 1s, because we're dealing with just pure white. Let's say it's RGBA, but A doesn't really matter in this case. So, to make it half the color, so literally just dividing by 2. So this could be good for, yeah, like darkening things, which is pretty cool if you want to add like darkened overlays. But even just in general, it's an interesting perspective on a blend mode, because you're just going, I just want to change this color mathematically. Like trying to think of it of like pixel divided by 2. So you can't just bit shift right 1 which divides by 2, by the way. So if you're shifting all the bits across 1, it would divide the entire number by 2, but you want each channel to be divided by 2. Sorry if this is going over some people's heads, but just bear with me. So, to have the color, you just... Oh, where's my sticks? Oh, gosh. You just have to... like, basically mask the bits. So you wanna sort of clear the bits that would shift over when you're shifting the thing. So you go 0x FE 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 FE, because FE is hex for 254. So it's like all of the bits are 1, except the one at the right is a 0. So that when you shift it, the colors won't be moving across the channels, because all the bytes are next to each other, right? So yeah, it's this is I realize this is probably really hard to explain. It'd be much easier with text, and I could probably bring up something, but look, it's fine. The idea is that you can just basically chop off the last bit of each channel of all the 4 bytes, then you shift it by 1, and then that divides the entire color, like each channel, by 2. So no matter the color, it will always divide the color by 2. So it's really cool. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I like these things. Like, if you want to know me as a programmer, you might be able to guess already, but I am an optimization freak. Like, I am so deeply obsessed with optimizations. In my brain, I cannot get the idea of, like, every operation and every byte counts. Because I just believe that if you program that way, it produces the most unbelievable results. That, I mean, well, compared to the 90s or 80s maybe, that's kind of how it is, right? Because you're programming in assembly, so you kind of have to be efficient, because you're literally limited by the amount of bits and operations and everything. Oh, that's why I wasn't picking it up. I don't need Rottle and Flesh. So, anyway, yeah, I really like the idea of just making everything so stupidly efficient. It's addictive. It's so addicting. You just sit there and you're like, what can I do to make it have less operations, to do the exact same thing, but with less machine code? I don't know. To me, it's so cool. It's really forced me to learn some obscure ways of thinking about programming. Every time I say things like obscure, I'm going, well, actually, it kind of isn't, because that's just how we did program a long time ago, decades ago. I'm not saying we've grown lazy or anything, but it's more that computers are just so powerful that there is just no need to... Is this the right way? No. There's just no need to be overly efficient all the time, and I get that, but... Oh, God. There are just quite a few times when you sort of sit back and you think about the sort of implications of what you're programming, and you're like, well, it is a holistic, better thing to make your program run with less... Because, okay, one way that I think about it... Oh, God, I'm going in circles. Each operation costs a non-zero amount of energy, right, from your computer. So if you have let's say a function that calculates something, but it has, I don't know, 1 million operations, if you have a method that is only 10 operations, then obviously the one that's less operations is going to use less power, therefore it is more efficient, not only in time, but in energy. I think I'm lost. How the hell did I get here? Uh-oh. Do I just dig up? I thought I was looking for a hole. I thought I... What the heck? Is it back down and... I thought I went down this stream. Oh, Lord, man. Jeez, how deep am I? 30 blocks. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could just dig up. But yeah, so if you're an aspiring programmer, I recommend just, especially if you're like learning C, but taking a more serious sort of perspective on operations and sort of how your program is running, and if you're able to do the same thing, that was cool, same thing but with like less code, less operations. I mean, and I'm not talking like premature optimizations. I'm not talking about like excessive changes that really don't do a whole lot. I could have just used my shovel. I'm talking about sort of like a deeper way that you program, thinking about it in the future. And I don't know, I guess someone could probably argue that that kind of is premature, but I'm talking about all the time, like everything that you do in the program, just, it's not, maybe what I'm thinking of is like, it's not premature if it's all the time. Uh-oh. 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 This is bad. Uh-oh. 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 I don't know where I am. I need to figure out where I am on the island. 1 second. This is focus time. Let's put some torches. Okay, let's just hug the coast. What the fuck was... Oh! Gosh, it's a witch. Oh, thank you, dolphin. Whee! Whee! Hey! Thank you, dolphin. Back home. Wonderful. Yeah. Anyway, so we're about half an hour in. Let me check another comment here. So, this one's really sweet. So, this one's, I realized I probably could have read out the names, but this one's from Mega Noob. So, can I just say I really love Nycra. It's absolutely amazing and beautiful. You actually inspired me to start making my own engine, blah, 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 blah. Or own game, sorry, with Game Maker and Aseprite. Yeah, thank you for inspiring me. So, that warms my heart so much. Just having at least one person say that sort of thing, it makes me so happy, because Nycra is a very questionable game. Questionable in multiple layers and levels. Because it's not that it will ever be, but it's not perfect. It's not overly stable. It definitely has some problems. But there's something about it that I am just so proud of, because it's... I don't know how to word this. I made Nycra when I was learning how to make games. So I didn't quite understand, like I knew what I wanted, but I didn't quite understand the sort of the broad implications of what it could mean, or how it could play out. And because all I wanted to do was to make an experience, and I wanted to make people think, and I wanted to show people that, you know, you can make pixels look really pretty, and you can be very dramatic, and you can do all these cool visual stuff, but the problem was, like, that was the thing that sort of got me all, I guess, caught up, tangled in my own nets. And it's, in many ways, it is, like, kind of embarrassing, because I talked it up so much over so many years, and when it came out, I did get the odd comment of, like, wow, this is not what I was expecting, and it's bad. Like, yeah, it hurts, but I also completely understand, because, you know, I was initially selling it as this super explorative adventure game, puzzle game, platformer, like, cool, sci-fi, yeah. But as I developed it and as I worked on it more and more, it slowly became this, how should I say, it almost became this burden of sorts, and that, like, it became like a feedback loop, and I ended up sort of getting stuck in, actually, God, I got a lot of iron. This is impressive. You know what, I'm gonna make more furnaces. It had a bit of an identity crisis, because I was feeling so pressured to make a game that was successful, right? Because the problem is, it's where am I going with this? So I had a vision, and because my skills weren't good enough, basically, it kept on falling flat in front of me. Like, as I was developing it, the amount of times I would be trying to do something and trying to add something, and I would be battling my own creation, because it was the same project for like 10 years. A Game Maker project, and it just, like, it suffered from so many problems that were around. You know, like, if you ever open up one of your projects that you were working on when you were in your teens, you'd probably see so many problems with it. Where's this zombie? It's pissing me off. And the problem is the problem was that the project, like, every time I opened it and every time I tried to work on it, it basically gave me trauma. Just to be blunt, I guess. It was so painful to look at a broken project that would take so long to clean and so long to fix. It was very hard to come to terms with the fact that this game just will not become what I wanted it to be. And it ate me from the inside out. I couldn't sleep for a long time. I struggled, and the only way, and you can see this in the game, if you play the game, you can see this, the only way that I could manage this mentally was if I put the pain in the game. In many ways, it was broken on purpose, and that sort of became my fuel, because I knew that if I couldn't rely on it being perfect, I could rely on it telling a story about me and how I struggled to create it and how it struggled to exist. And that's why, you know, Q, sort of the main character, that's why she experiences panic attacks and the world literally just crumbling and breaking around her. I literally added some code that broke the game on purpose, or at least visually, right? Like there was a scene where the tiles get all broken. Like I just basically forcefully corrupted everything, like the tile map, because I kind of wanted to make it obvious that it was, the game itself was kind of suffering, and I did it for the art, I guess. I did it on purpose. No, I'm not necessarily saying I broke it on purpose. It was more that I allowed it to sort of become what it is on purpose, rather than forcing it to be this, oh, there's some puzzles, and you unlock this, and ooh, get this upgrade, and ooh. I want it to be more solemn as the game goes on. I mean, the amount of times people comment when they get, like, the Telerod, and they're like, wait a second, how come I don't need to use this anymore? Yeah, like, things like that. Like, you get things that you use once, and then you don't use them anymore. Like, what do you think that's a metaphor of? Come on. What do you think that's a metaphor of? You play a game, I'll refer, with Nycra. So you're playing Nycra, and you get the Enox cube, which allows you to take energy and move energy around. And then you just don't use it for a long period of time of the game. I had one person message me about it, because I think it clicked with them. They said, is this sort of like an ADHD metaphor? I was like, yep, bingo, you got it. That's, yeah. It's in some ways it's a little corny, a little cheesy, but also I wanted it to be almost like painfully obvious that that like the parts of the game were sort of held together by just a bit of glue, and that's about it really. Now in some ways, like, what am I doing? In some ways I'm of course not proud, and I'm I guess shameful in some sense, because many people did have much higher hopes. Actually, what am I doing here? I wanna I'm gonna put this in storage, actually. And yeah, like, I really, really wanted to do so much more. Like, oh my, you guys have no idea. I have so many notebooks and so much that I wanted to add to the game. But it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just adding it for art's sake. Like, there's nothing actually... I got so caught up in the vision, and I didn't actually do very much in terms of gameplay, right? Like, I wanted there to be an experience, and I kept on forgetting that people are expecting a game. They're expecting to play. And I really, really struggled with that, because, like, I'm not actually that much of a gamer. I know that term is a bit, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't actually play games that often, because my life is mostly making games. But I think like, after Nycra, for example, I very quickly realized that I actually need to play games a lot more, a lot more than I do. I do play a lot of games, but just, like, it could be more. Actually, I'm gonna go half. So yeah, so this is the thing. So it's already been 4 years. It's been 4 years since Nycra came out, and I have grown so much as a programmer, as a designer, as a basically everything regarding like the major parts of Nycra itself. And I'm just, like, I'm so excited to maybe one day remake it. I don't know if it will be futile, I don't know if it will be worth it, but I want to get to a point where, like, I have my own C engine, and I want to like almost like a demake, but also expanding upon it as well. And I want the game to be more aligned to the true vision that I initially had when I was really young. I had this I had this idea when I was about like 15, 16. I mean, it was all sort of centered around the firstborn galaxy. What would that entail? And there are so many things that I just like. It's sort of kind of like slice of life, where the game itself and the experience is just sort of another life, and I really love that. One of my favorite manga in particular, the anime is good, but the manga is arguably better. It's called Girls Last Tour, and it completely blew my mind because it was exactly what I wanted from a... I'll put some sand in here. Exactly what I wanted from a sort of an anime or an experience where you're sort of thrown into this alternate reality where, yeah, things are just different, and you just have to experience this whole other existence. And yeah, and I really wanted that for Nycra, but I was sort of caught in the trap of trying to make it profitable and trying to make it, hyped up and blah blah blah, and like, I think I'm pretty good at that, but I realize that that's not what actually makes a good game. And yeah, and it's fascinating because I have such a different perspective now. I've worked professionally now, like for multiple studios, and I just see things in a whole different light, and I really wish that I wish I had like infinite energy, infinite money, and infinite time. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be so cool? Because then I would literally just make the most absolutely unbelievable version of Nycra. But the problem is, like, that's just... It's hard, because you as a human are very limited, and that's something that I struggled with a lot, is that I was coming to terms with the fact that I was getting older, and I couldn't be working on it, up until my late 20s and 30s. Like, I couldn't do that, because I knew that there was so much more that I had to do, so much more that I had to learn. And Game Maker is great, but it is restricting, and I just couldn't learn C and make Nycra at the same time. It was just too hard. Which is why in many ways I just... finishing the game was just like ripping off a band-aid, because I just wanted to get it over and done with so I can move on, become a better programmer, and then maybe one day come back to it. So, yeah. So, I do look forward to it. If it happens... Oh, I forget, I have to wait for them to grow. If it happens, if it doesn't, I don't know. It'd be nice if it did, because there's just so much to Nycra. Like, as a concept, there are so many parts to it that I'm so deeply proud of, because if executed better, oh man, it just would be so good. I have these very specific visions of scenes that happen, like EO, for example. If you're familiar with Nycra, EO was supposed to have a much bigger role, and there was supposed to be so much more that happens, because EO is, in the lore of Nycra, the most powerful, like, entity in existence. It was supposed to be this sort of, it's like containing a god inside of a sphere, a metal sphere that's like only a foot in diameter. Like, it was, the idea was supposed to be this thing that also just happened to have the intelligence of like a 3-year-old, but in a sort of robotic way, where it just didn't understand anything, and Q would have to explain to it sort of everything. And I really liked that concept, because I really wanted it to sort of play out over multiple hours where you're playing with this robot, and it just learns and it gets more and more intelligent, and it sort of becomes self-aware. Like, I wanted existential moments where it's realizing that it basically has enough energy to just shoot a hole through a planet if it wanted to. Like, it is so unbelievably powerful, and I just love the idea of like Q having to navigate EO in a sort of a caring, precious way. I don't know. It's something that is on my mind sometimes. I'm like, I never put like everything into it, because I couldn't. I was literally limited by my mental capacity, because I was just destroying myself trying to finish it. So, hey, 52 minutes. Anyway, I hope maybe this clears up some things for some people who are interested in Nycra and was sort of curious as to why it went down the path that it did. This is inefficient because there's only 2, but whatever. But yeah, like, it's hard. It really is hard, because you can't really, like, I can go back, I can get the project, and I can try to fix certain things and but I can't. Like, emotionally, I don't want to open up that project again, because it will make me want to cry. Like, it's really hard looking at it, because it has so much emotion in it and so much pain in it that in many ways I just want to delete it and get rid of it. But I was thinking next year, so 2026, I'm thinking about making it open source. So I'm thinking about just making a GitHub repo and just putting Nycra, sans all of the textures, because the textures I actually, funnily enough, value more than the code. I'm more proud of how Nycra looks than how it plays. But I want people to sort of look at the state of it, and there's a chance that someone will probably want to, like, fix bits of it, and yeah, I don't know if I want that, but in many ways I feel like I need to set it free so that I can be free, because I am still in pain, and I still unfortunately suffer from it, because, you know, I'm sitting there just relaxing one evening or whatever, and then suddenly I just remember what happened, and yeah, it's just like, it's hard. So, oh my god, have I not? Damn it, I haven't got enough wool. That's annoying. God, I hate phantoms. They're really not that great of a game concept. Anyway, we didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, it was mostly resources. I got a lot of iron, a lot of amethyst, which means I can make some things, plan some things out. I'd love to, I really want to start sort of designing how, like, where I should put my base, and I want to, start, thinking about, like, door structures. I want to have a theme. I quite like ethos stuff. So I might sort of be inspired by... I might be inspired. That's a funny way to phrase it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to... Maybe, like, a hint to it, like his man cave stuff. And I love the whole stone and wood look. Also, sorry for just running up and down these stairs. It's been an interesting week. Just everything is busy. But... I really appreciate the people who do enjoy these videos. Just sort of, talking about things, digging some things. I think it's fun to sort of open up and talk about sort of stuff that you're experiencing. So I encourage, if you happen to get to this point, if there's something that's bothering you, that's an interesting question. Like, what's something that's bothering you in your life? Not in a, oh, I wish I could change certain things, but I'm talking about just like, do you wish that maybe you were in a better living situation? Do you wish things didn't cost so much? Because I think sometimes just sort of venting out your frustrations can be quite... I think it could be productive. Especially because I'm going to read your comment. I think I'm at the stage where I don't get that many viewers that if you comment, I'm more than likely going to read it. Like, treat it as if it's a DM, You go, hey, End. This sucks. And I'm gonna be like, you know what? Yeah. But things will get better. As they always do. Life is all about ups and downs. One of my favorite quotes that I put in Nicro is... see if I can remember it. It was Nanis, when you meet Nanis. And Nanis sort of talked about how you sort of have to experience the good and the bad. It's just how things are. Especially because you can't actually appreciate good things if you only have good things. Because humans... we actually work via the delta. We work via the differences. Hello. And if you have no differences in your life, if everything is the same, then then it's nothing is gonna be... Oh, I didn't drop the thing. That's sad. Yes, if everything is the same, then you realize that you're sort of missing out on experiences or changes, because changes in hindsight can actually be very good. Like the amount of times that something's gonna happen, I'm like, oh no, change. And then it happens, and then you go, oh, wait a second, that was fine, And I think it's good. I think it's good. Sort of having the mindset of just accepting change and accepting growth. Actually, one of my favorite things, here's a sort of a final thought to close up on. you should seek failure. You should seek doing things wrong. And I say that because, not to get all like philosophical, but if you don't know how to do something, if you like, as in if you know all of the ways how not to do something, then if you keep on doing that, you will get to a point where you only know how to do the thing. Right? So if you learn how not to draw a circle, if you focus on like egg shapes and ovaloids and how to sort of perceive the circular shape and how not to draw it, appreciating squares and going, oh, that's not a circle. If you keep on doing that and then you sort of sit down and you go, okay, so now I'm going to draw a circle, you will draw a more perfect circle. Because every time that you are drawing and you are... Okay. And you're getting to a point where it doesn't look like a circle because you've already done things that aren't circles, then you go the other way until it becomes not that again, and then it will just coincidentally become a circle. That is okay. This is a bad... you know what I mean, though, right? Like, if you know how not to do something, or know how all the ways how not to do something, then you will eventually know how to do the thing. Because you know how not to do it. You have... It's literally like in front of you, a cheat sheet of every single way how not to do something. As long as you avoid those, you will do the thing. So, look, so that's just something to think about. When it comes to programming, when it comes to art, when it comes to music, when it comes to anything, think about the way, the way that you're learning, is this how not to do it? Because if you are conscious of that, then yeah, it will get to a point where you will feel innately confident how to do the thing. And I say this from experience. I've embraced this mindset for the past 3 years now, and you learn so much. You learn so much from just forcing yourself to, essentially not be good at certain things, but in a way of constructive, trying to figure out what are the ways you can approach it different. I'm digging a hole here. Anyway, I think that's probably a good way a good point to stop. 3 minutes over. I apologize for my sort of scattered thoughts and slightly low energy and sort of walking around in circles. Ups and downs. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode. Ups and downs. Life is a struggle, but life is also so unbelievably beautiful, and absolutely everything in this existence is important. Everything happens for a reason, and life is very important because it is the only thing that you have that is absolute. Yeah. So treasure your life, treasure others' lives, and I think you will get to the point where you feel like you start to understand sort of the meaning of many things. At least, I don't know, that's how I think. Am I getting delusional? Maybe. Oh, man. Especially playing Minecraft when I was young and just sort of being alone and just sort of in my own thoughts. Yeah, no, this was nice. This was therapeutic. I appreciate, if you're still listening, I appreciate you watching. Next week will be a bit more energetic, hopefully. I've got some ideas. I want to, sort of do things a bit more differently. Just sort of, in a constructive way. Yeah. If you have any comments, any thoughts, let me know. Again, sorry for the weird episode, but I'm just doing what feels right, and I think this was a good episode. So I will see you all later. Have a great evening, morning, whenever, wherever you are, and I will see you later. Bye bye.